So on today's episode, we are joined by Adam Schindler. Adam is an elite trainer, elite athlete, and a parent. So what we're going to do in today's episode is pull back the layers. We're going to go into mindset, performance, his Hyrox preparation, his Hyrox races, how he trains, and how he just manages his time. Adam, welcome, my friend. How are you?
Thank you so much, Tom. I appreciate you being here, and I'm excited to get into it with you.
Amazing, mate. So like we were just talking about before we came and started recording, Hyrox. Let's open with that, because I met you at Las Vegas Hyrox when we were there supporting Canal. Mm-hmm. But you were there supporting other people competing as well, weren't you?
Right. Yeah, so I actually run Hyrox classes once a week here in Las Vegas, just for people who want to get into it, like are preparing for an actual race. And it's something that I love. So I like to share what I love to it as well. And I'm fortunate enough to be a North American ambassador, so it's really great content for me as well to be able to bring these large groups of people together and really just share the love of the sport through person to person within the community locally, but also online as well. It's my new obsession.
Yeah, I love that, and like I said before, I've done one Hyrox in Paris, and what I realised there was not just there, but watching it on YouTube and watching it in Vegas is it's all inclusive, and it gets everyone involved and everyone supporting each other. Yes, it is competitive, but that's where you've got the pro races and the Elite 15 and everything like that. But when you just go around, you've got people of all sizes, all ages, pushing themselves, which is it's inspiring.
Yeah.
And so where did this kind of passion and obsession, like you mentioned, for Hyrox come? Where was it this is...
You mean for me?
Yeah, for you.
I love that it includes everyone, because you've got just the elite of the elite, the James Kellys, the Hunter McIntyres, the Deardens, the Ratchiks. Those guys are just on a whole nother level than anyone in the world. But you've also got grandmothers, grandfathers, finishing singles. I've seen 70 to 75, 75 to 79. I could do it and my mom could do it, and we could both get a great workout in and have an achievement, right? So there's different levels of entry, different barriers of entry based on the weight. You can do doubles as well. I always tell everyone the hardest part about Hyrox is that there's no breaks. But if you want a lower level of entry, you can do a partner workout, which means you still run the whole thing, but you get a break. You go, I go. So you get to break while they work on each station. And even lower than that would be the relay. So you do 2 out of the 8. So I love that part about it, but how I got into it was funny, because I have always trained kind of like a maniac anyways. So I was finishing a run. This is when I trained at Self-Made Training Facility over here in Vegas, and it was 110 degrees outside. I was running the strip. I walked in, there's a big garage door in the back, and I walked in, and one of my colleague's clients, she would see me run every day. She said, "You should do Hyrox." And I was like, "What's that?" And so I immediately, this was less than a year ago. This was April of last year. I was like, "What is that?" And so they showed me, and there was one coming up in May 19th, which was actually my 41st birthday. And I was like, you know what? This is my birthday present to myself. So I signed up for it with 3 weeks to go. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to train or anything like that. I was like, I run every day, and I'm strong, so I should be good. So I went and I did it, and I just got hooked, because the atmosphere, the support, the people, the different levels that you see there, the energy within the arena that you go to. I have a competitive background my whole life. Since I was 6 years old, I was on a wrestling mat every single weekend, wrestling and competing. And then as an adult, I've competed in many things as well. But I love this because as I age, I can continue to improve on it as well. When you are used to competing at an elite level, I want to be elite. I'm not elite yet at this because I'm just not there yet, but I'm getting there.
Yeah, what do you say? You've been in the sport for like a year.
A year, yeah.
And on your Instagram, which we'll go into, is just like your times and everything, mate. I'm like, I go on a run, then I'll go on your Instagram, and I'm like, oh my god. I was like, it makes me feel like a snail.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, and Hyrox is predominantly a running race. So if you go into that with already a strong kind of foundation of running, you're already like a step ahead, and that was where I was lacking. Like I've always played sport, I've always been competitive, and always wanted to push on. But it's always been like the short, sharp burst rather than because mate,
you've got to really develop some volume.
Yeah. When we did the Hyrox, I did it with a client, and we're both strong, but it was just like the compromise running. And even though we trained for it, and my training wasn't, I kind of didn't put as much time and effort into it as I should have, because I did 2 half marathons like 2 months leading up to that. So I went in slightly fatigued and not putting in as much Hyrox-based training, but it was still so rewarding. Yeah, like unbelievable. So obviously, you got, like we mentioned before, you've got Hyrox. Just tell us about your Hyrox kind of schedule going forward.
Well, right now, so this was last year when I started, my first one. So I did Anaheim, and then I did Mexico City, then I did Anaheim again, and then I did Vegas. So I've done 4 in the last, when was Vegas, at the beginning of February. So in like 8 months, I did 4. But then now I have 3 scheduled in the next 6 weeks. So coming off of Vegas, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. And everything in America was sold out. So I was like, I'll just go back to Mexico again. And I got a ticket for Monterrey, Mexico, for April 5th. Well, then I had an opportunity to go to Houston, which is next week. And then they opened more tickets for Atlanta, which is 3 weeks after Monterrey. So now I'm just like, I'm all in. So I've got Houston next week. I've got Monterrey 3 weeks after that. And then I've got Atlanta 3 weeks after that, which is going to keep me busy and keep me focused for sure.
So there's a few things I want to cover with that. Is how do you train? So would you say you're kind of maintaining, like pushing the running more because you've got such a condensed schedule now? It's not so much progressing as much because you don't want to go into each event fatigued. Right.
Like how do I structure the training? I've always run a lot. Like last year I ran like over 2,500 miles for the year. So I run almost every day as it is. Like I think I averaged around 7 miles a day last year. But so I have the base and I have the aerobic training, but what I need to focus on is staying fast when I'm tired, right? And that's when the compromised running comes into play. So what I've done too is like, I have always done hybrid style training. So I've always run, I've always lifted, I've always done like a couple high intensity and then some zone 2s throughout the week and stuff like that. And I just noticed that like, with specific things, like I have a ceiling, right? So right now I'm placing top 3 in my age group a couple times, always like at the top end of my age group, but I'm not in the elite level yet. So what I think everyone can benefit from, including myself, is a coach. So I enlisted into someone better than me, a guy named James Kelly, who's one of the best guys in the world. So I'm following his program through Proven, and the way that he has it structured, he does it in 8-week blocks, and then there's a 2-week taper program, which is what I'm on right now, and the volume is insane. Like honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, is this going to be too much?" And you don't have to do everything every day, but now that I've been putting in such work, and especially like the compromise, like just like exhausting my legs through like lunges and burpees and sled pushes, and then still running, I'm getting used to it, and I can see I'm like, oh, no wonder. Like I would never think to push myself that hard, but having someone else write it for me, because as trainers, like we're structuring things for other people all day. So when it comes to our own training, sometimes it's like, we push ourselves, but there's another level that we can go to that someone else can get us to.
Yeah.
So that's what I felt like I needed.
That's amazing. Yeah, I've got a coach myself, and for that exact reason, it's like when we provide a program and a structure, we're taking the thinking out of the equation for them. So we need the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it doesn't matter who you are, what level you're at. Everyone needs a coach.
Yeah.
Because then you can just execute.
Yep. That allows you to put your energy towards the task, not towards the creation and then the task, because that takes a lot of mental energy away.
Yeah, it takes like decision fatigue. Just take it away.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what anything that I can kind of outsource in regards to that and get a plan done for me from someone that's been there, done it, and has that experience and the knowledge and like the scientific like education behind it. Give it me.
Yeah.
And just tell me what to do and when to do it and what to eat.
For sure.
So with your nutrition at the minute, what you don't have to go through every single meal, but how are you refueling for kind of the sessions, and what's your like pre-race nutrition routine?
So I feel like I'm a little different than a lot of people, just because like I feel like my body's like super sensitive to carbs. I do not eat a lot of carbohydrates. I'm on the lower end. I actually was the first time I did Hyrox, I did it on the carnivore diet. So I had 0 carbs, and I ran a 114 in the pros as an entry level. It was my very first race. And I finished 5th in my age group. I was like, oh, that's pretty good
For your first one?
Yeah, for my
that's
first
not
one. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It's definitely, I feel like I'm, as far as like the best in the world down, like, of course I'm one of the top guys in Nevada, but like in the world, I'm a B right now. I want to get to an A.
I love that. I've got so much time for that.
Yeah. And also, I think that it's so great. Something that I want to touch back on when you were talking about getting a coach is that a lot of people, especially coaches, like, I feel like it's so good for your business as well to show other people that you're willing to learn from someone else. And it takes your ego out of the equation. You know what I mean? Because there's a thought process through some trainers. I'm sure that you've encountered trainers where like they won't get a coach because they think that they need to know it all. And you don't need to know it all. You have to have that hunger for more knowledge and the ability to say, I don't know it all, but I'm willing to learn more.
Yeah.
And that's the only way we grow.
Yeah, I quite like the mindset of like, I know nothing. So to like put myself and just be like, learn, because then it filters through into my education. Then it filters through into my clients' education and results. And since I've got a coach, how long have I had a coach now? It must be like kind of two years. Mainly for like physique and photo shoot stuff. But even with that, learning more about like mechanics with sessions, how to structure training even better than I've ever known. And it's when I see the results with my own physique and my own fitness and my own strength, I'm like, it's like a boom, sweet. And then you can add your own little twist on it and
yeah, absolutely,
and just develop it even further.
Yeah, it's how we develop our own things, right? Is we take, I mean, even personalities, right?
Yeah.
Like we develop a personality through like learning and seeing other people. We take what we think is good, we leave what we think won't work for us. Same thing, and it's a great way to be able to expand what you do. And like you said, develop your own thing from it by taking what works for you and from all kinds of different areas.
Yeah, 100%. So with all your training, and like you mentioned, you averaged running 7 miles a day last year, which is mental.
Yeah.
How do you manage everything that you do whilst being a parent? Because I know that there's going to be people watching this. My clients will be interested in this.
Right.
in how you obtain such a high level of performance and consistency while still being a parent?
Yeah, man, that's a tough one. And today's a prime example because, so my son, I have 50-50 with him, but his mom is out of town right now, so he's with me for the next 2 weeks. So generally, like, my Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, I can stack my schedule because I get him Thursday night and I have him through the weekend, and, so it's half and half, right? So, like, I have half of the week where, like, I don't have him and half the week that I do. But the past couple weeks, I've had him every day. And so, for instance, this morning, I'm lucky that I have, like, business owning clients that, like, don't have to work out with me early. They like to work out with me early, but they can make time throughout the day. So I've just kind of, like, restructured my schedule, took him to school this morning, went, trained clients, got my training in. I came here. When we're finished, I'll go pick him up from school. And then he loves the gym. So we'll go back to the gym. I still have a 40-minute bike erg that I've got to do this evening. So with I think the structure is a 40-minute bike erg. Every 1,000 meters, you do 10 burpee to plates and 20 lateral lunges.
That sounds tasty.
Yeah, it's going to be gnarly. But he'll hang out in the gym, and he likes to run on the salt treads, or he'll just get on his tablet and chill out.
Mate, I cannot tell you how much I love that, and it reminds me of my upbringing with my dad and, like, me and my brother. Mm-hmm. My dad. That's why I was interested in how you make time, because my dad worked in business for many, many years, and he woke up at 5 o'clock every single day and did at least 6-mile run every single day. And then he went and worked a full day. And that kind of, without maybe me and my brother knowing, that kind of discipline and that consistency kind of ingrained into us.
Yep.
And building that healthy environment where your son now likes to go to the gym. Mm-hmm. And how old is he?
6.
Do you know what I mean? And you put up a story, was it yesterday, saying that he was running at 12 kilometers an hour?
Yeah.
Mate,
he
I was
sprinting.
like, he's going to be the next Hyrox world champion, mate, I tell you.
You know what's funny about him is that he has more energy than any kid I've ever met in my life. And everyone who meets him, they're like, is he always like this? I'm like, yeah. So my son is on the autism spectrum, so his mind just works a little differently than a neuronormative child. And he can do everything. The only reason we ever knew that he was autistic is because the speech never came. So he's like very high energy, like, I guess ADHD was what people would call it. I just think that he just, like, has a lot of energy. And we've had doctors tell us that not only is exercise good for him, but it's mandatory for his brain. So the way his brain is structured and the way his brain is wired, he has to play and has to exercise in order for him to be healthy and in order for him to behave. You know what I mean? We are going back to, like, how we've evolved as human beings. This environment that we live in is brand new, like a speck in the matter of time. You know, we've always, from hunter-gatherers to then when agriculture came and working as farmers and things like that. And then once the Industrial Revolution came, things changed a little bit. And now they've changed even worse over the last 20 years because we're so sedentary. But being an example, like your dad set for you, is what I hope to be for him. Not only does he need it, but it's good for him. And I think that being in the gym, especially with the way things are going, look what you and I are both professionals at fitness and nutrition. You don't go to regular school for that. I mean, you can get a nutrition degree or a physiology degree, right? But I didn't. I have a degree in geography. But I make money and am a professional in fitness because it's something that I learned without traditional school. Yeah. So I think children being in an environment like that, it provides an education that I guess is a little more informal.
Yeah, and also it's putting your son into an environment with kind of older people, so he's going to develop social skills, and he's going to see how people act, how people train, how just like mannerisms and cleaning up after themselves in the gym and wiping down equipment, all these little things. because at that age, you're just a sponge. You just take everything in.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like you said, the doctor said, like, it's a necessity for him to exercise. But the fact that he's enjoying it now, for me, it's going to be a part of him and his ethos, his identity, for forever.
Right. Yeah, I'm hoping so. And, I'm not, because I know, like, as a parent, all kids are different. Especially, I mean, my kid's so different than, like, other kids. I was talking to a friend. She's part of a running group that I run with, and she has 2 daughters. And she was talking about how she'll just give them a coloring book, and they'll just color for an hour. I was like, what's that like? Because my kid, he would throw that coloring book. He would scribble on it for 3 minutes, and then we'd never see the coloring book again. But kids are so different. But I think it's important to get them exposed to, and it doesn't have to be a gym. It can be like gymnastics class or, anything that's going to get them moving and, naturally, because we've got so many kids on so many devices now, they're getting this free dopamine for no work constantly. And then when it's gone, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So when you have to work for your dopamine, it hits different.
Yeah. I remember, like, when I was in school, rugby, football, tennis, golf, cricket, all the sports. My mum was like, oh, why don't you learn a musical instrument? From The Simpsons, Lisa Simpson, I was like, I want to learn the saxophone.
Yeah.
Did it for a day. I was like, no, it's not me.
Yeah.
Like, sport's definitely it.
Yeah.
And it's, again, like, being in part, I know, like, fitness and, like, group training is different, but fitness can be quite lonely because it's just you, like, sending it. But I think sport is so important for kids and adults and for everyone, to be honest, because it's inclusive. You not only make connections and friends, but you learn kind of discipline, especially when I was playing rugby. Like, don't speak to the ref like, rudely or anything like this, and it teaches you life lessons. And when I meet people that, like, aren't sporty, they get that through kind of hiking or something else, but it's always down, in my opinion, to an activity where you are stimulated and you're working towards something, not just, like you say, watching a screen or YouTube. Like, everyone will be watching this, but
there's a time and place.
So with parenting, training, coaching, how do you prioritize those? What I mean by that is, for me, like, one thing that we do with, like, 'cause I've got a business mentor, is he was touching upon, like, a priority pyramid, and it really stuck with me because whatever's at the top of the pyramid, they're all important, but you break the pyramid down into 3 sections. Whatever's at the top is your top priority, and they can change from time to time. So for me, in the last kind of 18 months, 2 years, well, since I really started, like, transitioning to online coaching instead of personal training, it's been business. And then when I was getting kind of married and with my wife, family came first. And it was just a constant kind of ever-changing pyramid, so to speak. So what would you say kind of is your top priority now? Would it be kind of the training, going into the Hyrox? But obviously, family and parenting is always going to be up there.
Yeah. And I think that balance as well, like, isn't just a straight line. It's definitely not linear. And like you said, like, there's different seasons for different things to take priority. With me, my son's always going to take number 1 priority for me. But there's also, he's old enough and he understands to where, like, when I pick him up from the gym today, or from school today, he knows we're going to the gym. Because I got things to do, but he likes it there, you know what I mean? So it's not like we're going and doing what he wants all the time, but he's taken care of. He's taken care of first. Second of all, obviously, when you have clients and in-person clients and a business to run that allows you to take care of a wife or a son, that comes in line number 2, right? So number 1, family. Number 2, business. How can I serve those who I am obliged to serve today? And then once I figure out how I can serve everyone else, whether it be my family or my clientele, I make sure that I fit in me after that. I come third before anything else, before my priorities to make me better and for my growth come once everything that is a necessity is taken care of. I take care of me because I know that that's going to make me more able and capable to not only take care of them, but also grow what I want to grow. And you know, a lot of times it can be looked at as selfish to, like, you know, let's just take a hypothetical like stance on it. I'm in my 40s, like I'm never going to be the world champion of Hyrox, but like I'm spending all this time doing it. Well, it allows me to not only push myself and make myself better, but it allows me to grow my business as well, because other people see that it is possible and there's capability to grow and improve and do these things. You want to follow a person who leads by example at all times. I know that I've had coaches growing up that I loved because they led by example, and I had coaches I wouldn't listen to at all because they were just barking orders. And it came down to being a leader or just being a boss. And you want to be a leader.
Yeah, 100%. One thing that stuck out was when you were like being selfish. And one thing that I say to every single client is you need to be selfish to be selfless. Mm-hmm. The more that you work on yourself, the more that you're going to be there for other people, mentally, physically, emotionally, with energy.
Yeah.
And it's just, and again, we'll tap into the mental side of things, is because I've seen, I'm not sure if it was on your podcast or you were a guest on another podcast, and you were talking about like the mental benefits of running and what it does for you. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that was the same like as my dad. Like he's always been a runner, and where we live in our hometown in Manchester, it's like a running joke. Everyone's like, I've seen your dad out running again. And it's just like, well, yeah. Like he just, and I remember when we were kids, mate, and he was like, right, come on, like pushing me to go on a run. And I was like, Dad, I can't keep up with you. So then I went on a bike, and I got halfway and I had to turn around. I was like, you're too quick. Yeah. I was like, I genuinely can't keep up with you. But it's that like from him doing that every morning, he was allowed to go into work in a better like headspace, be able to perform his job the way he did, and then come home and just be in a much like better, his best self. And it's the same. That's what I take into every single day. Like even if I don't want to train, every time I train and finish, I'm like a new man. Yeah. My productivity, my energy, everything goes through the roof.
Yeah. You can't pour into others without having a full cup, and you got to fill your cup up, or know that your cup will be filled, right? Because if you're thinking you're not going to get something done for yourself in that day, you're going to be thinking about it all day long, which is going to disable you from being more benefit to others, right? If you have a full cup, you've not only you've checked your box, that not only allows you to, but almost really motivates you to help others, especially after exercise when you're in a great mood and everything like that.
Yeah. It just goes back to my PT days. Like after I trained, I could, just looking back now and reflecting, my energy in those sessions was so different to like a 6 a.m. session where I was like, took 3 shots of espresso just to kind of get one eye open. Yeah. But yeah, the mental side of training is probably 70% of the reason why I train.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I tell everyone. It's like running is for my brain. Not just running, exercise is for my brain. Yeah, it helps. The physical payoff is a cherry on top. But, there are times when I wake up and I'm just like, there's so many things to do. Like, there's every excuse in the book to not go do it first and check it off the box. But I always ask myself, do you want to have a good day today? Do you want to have a great day today? You know what to do if that's what you want.
Yeah, I love that. Just circling back to what you said about like kind of 50-50 with your son. So you've kind of front loaded your week this week. How do you find time to then refill your cup when you've jam-packed, let's say the first half of this week, where you clients training multiple times a day, and then still have the energy to be there, be present for your son, and also for your clients in the rest of the week?
Man, honestly, it's just what I do. I have a lot of energy. We sleep really well.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it. There's no way you could perform the way you do.
My sleep is so important to me. Tonight, I'm going to be out a little later. Are you going to the guest house tonight? So generally, if something happens after 6 p.m., I don't go. But tonight will be a little bit different. It's fine. We'll sleep until probably 7 a.m. tomorrow. But my son, we're in bed by 8:30 or 9 every night. We'll sleep solid until, when he's with me, 6, sometimes 6:30. When he's not with me, I get up at 5 because I have a 6:30 a.m. client. But I prioritize my sleep. I eat on a super structured thing. And it's not because I don't like good food. Of course I love it. Everyone loves good food. Have you ever met someone that's just like, I can do that because I just love food too much? I'm like, do you think I don't love food?
Mate, I get that every week.
But I know that if I eat the way I've structured it, I'm going to have more energy. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be quicker mentally. I'm going to be just better at everything. My sleep is going to be better. So I make sure that my food is good. I make sure that my sleep is good. And, I just incorporate him in a lot of the things. Like when we don't do a lot of things that don't involve exercise or fun or hiking or something like that. You know what I mean? Like when we go to places, it's like a kid's place. It's not an arcade. It's like a jump house or, a jungle gym or something like that. He's an outside kid for sure. He has a tablet that he uses, but he's an outside kid. He'd prefer to be outside. So with him and his energy, he has so much energy that it's absolutely just mandatory for me to always do that. Also, another thing, and I think we're probably going to touch on this as well, but I don't drink alcohol at all anymore. And that's the energy is probably the main reason why I did it. Because I had a full adult life. I was 35 years old before my son was born. So I had a full adult life of just partying and having fun and stuff like that and being able to sleep it off the next day. But then whenever I had him, I noticed that I would have 2 or 3 drinks. I was just so tired the next day, and he just did not care. He had so much energy, so I stopped drinking at all. And not even, obviously that's beneficial on a day that I have him, right? But when it compounds and your body gets so used to just not poisoning itself, you have more energy overall.
Yeah.
So that's another tactic that I've, just been living over the last couple years.
Yeah, with sleep, it's a superpower. It really, really is. And my sleep schedule is pretty similar to yours. I'm up at 5 every morning and I'm in bed by 9. I sleep by 9:30 latest. Yeah. I love it, mate.
It feels so good.
And everyone's like, how'd you go to bed so early and get up so early? I'm like, well, as soon as I wake up, I'm on it. And then by the time I lay down, I am ready just to pass out.
Exactly.
And I sleep like a baby.
Yep.
And then going back to the alcohol, I still drink, but I'm not drinking now going into my photo shoot, which is in 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So in April. And I didn't drink for my last one. And going through these 2 processes, going through the first one, it allowed me to control it a lot more. So when I finished the shoot, going through that process, I was my clarity, my confidence, my productivity, my sleep, my training, my recovery, it was second to none. Mm-hmm. But the culture, the drinking culture in the UK, mate, it's silly. Yeah. It's scary. Yeah. I went back for Christmas and it's just any spare minute, one of your mates aboard pub, and I'm just no, mate, I can't. I have one pint and I'm feeling it. Yeah. But going through this shoot as well, as my business is growing, and I'm kind of putting more pressure on myself to deliver more, which I love. I love pressure. Right. not drinking has allowed me to handle that pressure and not feel overwhelmed, not feel kind of guilty, not feel kind of stressed in any way. Don't get me wrong, there's always going to be stress in life.
Right.
But taking that out of the equation is allowing me to excel every single day. And it's just performance in business, mentally, physically, and the relationship I have with myself is class. Like I wake up at 5 and I'm like, boom. Like I'm excited to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Which is mad. And sometimes I go to bed and I'm like rushing to get my earplugs in, eye mask on, nasal strip. My wife's like, can you just like slow down? I was like, I'm just really excited for tomorrow. And she's like, why? I was like, I don't know, I just am.
Yeah.
And it's that feeling that I think it's not easy to say, because we, like, obviously you've not drank for years, and I've been through stages of sobriety, and I've understood the importance of it and learned how to control it. But if people haven't gone through that process, it's really hard for them to see the benefits of doing that.
Yeah. They don't know what they're missing, because I was in the military. I started drinking when I was 14. So I grew up in West Virginia. So like moonshine, it's exactly what you would think. And so, I drank all the time. Through high school, then through the military, and then even when I got out of the military, I fought professional MMA from 2007 to 2013. And if I wasn't in a camp, like I would fight, and then I would be drunk for a month. We would just party, and that's part of like the culture as well. Like back in the day, now it's changed a little bit, but man. I've always stayed in shape, but I've always had fun and partied on the weekends all the way until my mid to late 30s. And I had times where I'd take like 8 weeks off for a fight camp or, whatever it is. But it took me about 6 months. Then once I hit the 1 year point, it was completely different. Because back whenever I would take breaks, I could not drink, but it was really hard for me to be in a space where other people were drinking and having a good time and not drink, because that's all I would think about. And I'm to a point now where when we go tonight, everyone will be drinking. It's fine. It's not going to make one bit of difference to me, because that's just not how I live anymore. And it's so hard to get out of that cycle. And I don't have anything against drinking. I love drinking. I have so much fun whenever I drink. But I know that the net benefit for me is just to not do it. And I'm not encouraging anyone to stop, and I'm not saying you should. I'm not saying that drinking is bad. It can be, but it can also be fun. But if you'd never known how it feels to not have it, you're missing out.
Yeah, mate. I second that. Some of the best memories I have is with me and my mates absolutely bladdered.
Yeah.
It's fun stories, but as soon as you start to link it in with kind of progressing in life, in fitness, in business, it just doesn't sync up at all. Yeah. And one thing linking back to kind of drinking in social occasions, I was never one to kind of have a bottle of wine at home on my own, never. It's always been in a social environment. But for me, what it came back to was that I lacked self-confidence.
Yep.
So I turned to alcohol to make me kind of feel like I fit in more, feel like I could get involved in conversations, speak to girls at the bar, speak to lads, be involved in a group and feel welcomed. And with all the work that I've been doing kind of with my therapist over the past kind of 8 months, 10 months, but even before that, it's just the more confidence I've been building, I don't need a beer or 5 pints or 3 shots of tequila to feel like I can be part of a social occasion and be drinking. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I couldn't agree with you. I can relate to you on such a level here, because the way you said that is exactly how I felt for decades of my life. Yeah. Even though I was a confident person, in that setting and in that environment, I wasn't especially with women. you know what I mean, or someone that you didn't know, and like you're like, okay, like I can talk to this person once I've had, like, you just knew, like you're like, oh, that's enough, now I can go.
Yeah, mate, there's been so many occasions when I was younger, like at uni, and the first couple before I met my wife on the cruise ships, she'd be like, there'll be a girl at the bar, and then be like, mate, she keeps looking over you, like, go chat to her. Or my mates at uni, she'd be like, mate, like, go chat to her. And I'd be like, I will after this.
Yeah.
And it would be like half a bottle of wine and a pint.
Yeah.
So I'd neck that and then go and speak to them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, now looking back, I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, even though it might sound cringy, like, I am enough.
Yeah.
And it's only, not when I say recently, it's just building that kind of confidence and trust within yourself that people want to talk to you sober, not just drunk.
Yeah, and that's just comes from experience too. You know what I mean? The more you experience it, and the more you're able to like see the value in like what you have to offer without it. But then just like honestly, just shooting and missing so many times that like you become more comfortable. Like now, like I'm more confident talking to someone sober than I ever would be with drinks. You know, just because like I think just the time that I put in to sobriety and how it's changed, like how I think.
Yeah, and also like the best thing is when you go to these events, like we're going tonight and whatnot, and the old me would be like, right, I'm going to take tomorrow off work. I'm going to get, there's going to be free champagne. I'm going to have a whole bottle. I'm not even going to ask for a glass, all these things. But the best thing is you leave these events, you leave these social occasions, and you still get a good sleep, and you wake up tomorrow and still have a productive day. Yeah. Like that, for me, is like the golden nugget. Yeah. You can still enjoy like networking, meeting new people, enjoying speaking to people, whatever.
Without feeling like crap the next day.
Mate, it's a dream.
And another big thing that has really been a game changer for me is I'm not afraid to drive anywhere at any time now. Because when you're drinking, obviously, you're like, oh, like, I'm good, like, I can drive. But you're paranoid the whole time, you know what I mean? Every car is a cop car. And it's just dangerous, you know. But it's nice to not have to think that way anymore. And it's nice to, like you said, be able to go out, enjoy an event, and not feel like, okay, well, I'll cancel my early guys tomorrow because, you know, obviously I'm not going to be ready for it or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's almost more like it's more enjoyable at the end, right? In the moment, it's very hard to pass up because everyone's having fun and it's super easy to like enjoy the moment when you're partaking as well. But then it comes to a point the next morning when you have partaken, you've had just as much as fun, but your net benefit is well below the line because it took so much out of you. When you could have easily had as much fun, brought as much value, connected with just as many people, maybe even more, you know, and wake up the next day and still bring the same amount of value and your net benefit is above the line.
Yeah, I know people with what you just said, people are like, there's no way you can have the same amount of fun sober as drunk. And I agree with you because we've both been there and kind of been in those situations, but people watching this will be like, that's impossible. Yeah. But just give it a go because it works.
And here's the thing too, it's like, I'm not saying that you're wrong, right? I'm not saying that it's not as much fun in the moment. But the overall experience is just as much fun because you didn't take anything away from the next morning, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and also, for me, from my experience with drinking, you get to a certain level or a certain time in the night and then nothing else happens. Yeah. You get like past, like, say 11 p.m. and then it's just like, right, how drunk can we get? Yeah. And then everything else, like blackout. Yeah. Like, did I actually have a good night? Yeah. And then it's another thing as well, like the older I'm getting, the hangovers lasting like 2-3 days, depending on obviously how big the session was. Yeah. And I know like my stag do went to Germany, when was it? Like last February or March. I was ill for like 10 days. And I didn't speak to my best man. I was like, I don't want to speak to any of you that came on my stag do. Yeah. It put me off like so much.
Yeah.
And again, it's just, I suppose it comes back to the priorities that we mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if socializing is a priority and it involves drinking, you're always going to be holding yourself back to unlocking your true potential in fitness, business, mindset.
And I think a lot of that has to do with not having something else going, right? And I think that's really important to set goals, like physically, and not just workout to work out, right? But like have specific goals to work towards, right? Because that gives you a reason to stick to them. If you're just working out, I'll take a couple days off, I guess. You know, we're going to have a crazy weekend or whatever. And that's a big reason why I like to stay so active with like competition or just like things that are coming up, because it gives you a reason to stick to a lifestyle, right? Not just a training regimen, but a lifestyle. Because you can stick to a training regimen, but sticking to that lifestyle is going to make the training even better, right? And if you have to train really hard the next day, you just can't perform at an optimal level even if you're doing the 5 and 2, like 5 good days, 2 bad days on the weekend, 5 good days, 2 bad days on the weekend. You're not going to progress as much, and your Monday and your Tuesday and your Wednesday performance just aren't going to be as good because your body's still recovering. I call it the reset button, right? So it's like you have 5 good days and you hit the reset button, start over on Monday. 5 good days, hit the reset button, start back over on Monday. And I did that for years, and that's the reason why I feel so confident to speak on it, is because I lived it. And I did good things, but I didn't live to my full potential because I was always hitting reset.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. It's like and that's something with all the calls I have and all the client calls and everyone that's on the team. I'm like, what is it that you want from this? Like, what are you wanting to achieve? And I'm like, be selfish with it. Dream big. Because when people dream big, it's not actually that big, because when you break it down, you give everything a purpose, and you break it down into smaller chunks, and it's just building that momentum. So then that dream goal that they wanted to achieve is literally staring them in the face. Right. And one thing that I love is, as people are getting closer and closer to achieving a goal, that goal changes with their performance, with their progress. Like one of my clients, Michael, shout out to Michael, he lost over like 80 pounds of fat. The original goal was fat loss. Improved his health, like reduced his metabolic age. All the key health markers shot down. Everything that was meant to go up, shot up. And then he found his love for running again. So then we started training for a half marathon that we did in San Diego last October. He's now in marathon prep to do a single marathon like on his own. And then we're doing another half marathon, the same half marathon in San Diego. Yeah. And it's just amazing to see how, obviously going through different phases. So it was fat loss and now it's more performance, but still focusing on like physique. He wants to improve his physique as well. And it's just taking someone through that journey. And again, it's proof that your goal changes with your progress. And it's not like, and this is what I wanted to ask you, it's just, when you achieve a goal, like for me, I've got the photo shoot in April, and then I've got a half marathon 3 weeks later. Actually, before that, I've got a sprint triathlon. So there's always a goal for me. And if I haven't got a purpose or I haven't got a goal, I'm like training like needlessly. I'm not like push myself as much as I should or would or could. So for you, in the next kind of 2 months, you've got 3 Hyroxes. How do you then continue to train the way you do? Do you go into more of a deload? Do you more like kind of change your training slightly to give you a bit of a freshness towards your regime?
I may do slight deload. Hopefully, in one of those races, I'm going to qualify for Chicago in the Worlds. So maybe I'll have a fourth one. That's the plan. That's the plan.
Love that.
If not, or after that, summer's coming. I would run every day, whether I had a race to prepare for or nothing, just because like it's part of like what I've developed as like, I don't want to say it's part of my personality, but it is part of my personality.
It's your identity. Yeah.
I need it. Maybe I'm addicted, but it's a good thing. It sets my day up for success. It makes me happier. It makes me nicer. And it takes my, just kind of like makes me more calm, you know. So I would always stay locked in. That's one thing that like not drinking has done for me as well, is because like I'm super like type A, like go getter. But on my recovery, like I would fall off a lot of times. But now that I don't have any type of fall off, I'm always locked in, which I really like. But it may be a shift on priority, right? So I'll continue to run, but maybe because I don't have a Hyrox coming up, my priority from like my own self-training is going to stay, you know, consistent, but my business growth jumps above it, right? Rather than, you know, kid, clients, my training, gaining business, right? Now it goes kid, clients, improving business, my fitness.
Yeah.
So they just flip-flop a little bit.
Yeah,
I have something else to focus on that I can like, just an actionable step that I can take to improve myself in each day.
Yeah, no, and I suppose that links back to the priority kind of section that we were talking about, in the sense that at the minute it's this, and then after the Hyrox, it's like kind of your own fitness is always going to be a priority, but then business is going to push forward a little bit as you've got nothing to prepare for and train for. But even though you're going to continue to train,
right,
like daily,
yeah,
which I've got so much time for. And for me, I think it's so important to being a coach, like leading by example. Like I'm not big-headed or arrogant, but I want to be the people that would look at me and be like, I want to feel, look, and perform like that.
Yeah.
Because essentially we are a walking business card.
Exactly.
But it's always kind of getting our personality across. And like you said before, which I love, is being a leader and kind of being led the way that we want to be led, without being like, I'm not one. If someone turns around to me and was like, I had an off-plan meal, I had this much alcohol, I'm not going to be like, why'd you do that? You've ruined everything. Like, because if someone said that to me, I'd be like, see you in a bit. Yeah. So it's just understanding the clientele, but also being like, right, how would I want to be spoken to? Right. And just constantly delivering, and just giving value and just being the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that has a lot to do also with who you surround yourself with, right? Because when you have other peers who, we're all looking to be the best version of ourselves, but we also, I mean, I know that I do, and I believe that you do as well, want to have peers that are pushing the envelope that you have to level up to, right? When you're around people who are always just like living a life that's excellent and always doing things, making money, getting good business, performing well, treating other people well, it makes everyone around you better. So you have to keep in company people who are going to make you improve. And that's how you become the best you. You know what I mean? And it can, like, you can use it as like a pushing factor. And I wouldn't even say it's competition, but it's friendly competition to be like, I have to keep this level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a level of living, a level of life, a level of just like production in order to be a leader in the group that I am, right? Because when you're around other high achievers and people who are doing good things and stuff like that, you have to stay locked in. Because if you don't stay locked in, you're going to get left behind. Yep. And no one wants to do that. We all want to continue to bring value. And that's how you bring value to the group as well, is you continue to stay locked in. And you may not know what's next, but if you stay locked in, you stay doing good things, and you stay optimistic in treating people well, it's going to come.
Yeah. And also, just jumping on that, it's like if you stay locked in and surround yourself with good people, like I think there's a famous phrase, famous quote, that you're a product of the 3 to 5 people that you surround yourself with. but those 3 to 5 people that you surround yourself with are better than you in other areas.
Yeah.
But then it's not, like I say, it's not competition, but someone's better at you at business. You're better than them at fitness. Someone knows more about nutrition. Sweet. So you're picking each other's brains, and everyone's coming up together.
Yeah.
And by being surrounded in that environment and pushing everyone and accepting criticism, which I think is key. Mm-hmm. And it's not like, going back to the first things we spoke about, it's like, yes, we're both professionals. I don't know everything. Yeah. You don't know everything. Mm-mm. But it's understanding the thing. If someone says to you, like, okay, this is actually what you do here, it's not like, no, this is the way I do it. It's just like, right, okay, I'll try that.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's see.
Yeah. So it's being open to criticism and always taking it as constructive, not personally. And it's, for me, like, since living in Vegas, like, meeting people like yourself, Canal, all my clients now who are own their own businesses, like executives, seeing their work rate, seeing how they live their life, how they are just always positive and always looking for that next step, is so rewarding to see and be a part of. Mm-hmm. And I know that there's going to be people in the States and in the UK, all over the world, that are just happy doing what they do. Mm-hmm. They're just like, I'm happy at this desk. They don't really want to progress. Right. So if you're surrounding yourself with those kind of people, you're constantly going to be hitting a ceiling. Yeah.
That's what the people that were like, how do they do it?
Yeah. Well, surround yourself with different people.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate, I've absolutely loved this conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Mate, let everyone know where they can find you.
I'm on Instagram. Schindler Fit is Instagram. That's basically the place to find me, is Instagram. I'm at the Strip Barbell. There daily. If anyone ever trains there, wants to come through, or wants to train with me, you can hit me up through Instagram, DM preferably. I have TikTok and stuff like that, but I don't really use it very often.
Yeah,
so
Instagram's the one.
IG is the one.
Yeah, I've just, from my personal experience, I've trained at the Strip once, the Strip Barbell. Mm-hmm. Probably genuinely, I'm not even just saying this, it's one of the best gyms I've been to. Oh, yeah. It's class.
Thanks. I love it.
And also, if you're hesitant on dropping Adam a follow, please do, because it is so inspirational. So keep an eye on his Hyrox activities, his training, him putting his kid through his paces. He's just an incredible guy and a massive inspiration. Yeah. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Nice one.